Alright, so today I thought I would talk about why I made these samples for my pegboard and how they inform my design process of my workspace moving forward. If you don't know this already, I am currently in the process of redesigning my workspace. It has 2 doors and 3 windows on this side. And in episode 14 or 15, I mentioned that I would like to have a pegboard here. Now, in episode 2, when I defined the strengths and weaknesses of this room, I have determined that one of the weaknesses is its acoustics. And I'm really happy to live in the age of AI, which can improve the audio of my recording quite a bit artificially. But the audio I'm recording in this nearly empty room with tall ceilings is horrendous, to say the least. And it's not just my capacity to record that bothers me, but just how the room feels day to day. It currently has the reverberation of a church. People often ask me where I am when I speak on the phone, and they're always surprised to hear I'm at home. And I'm one of those weird people who cares about how a place sounds. So what can I do to improve that? One of the simplest ways to improve the acoustic of a room is just to have more textiles in the room. Plush seating, carpets, curtains, those things help a lot. And while I'm working on the curtains, I'm not sure how much of the other things I will have. Because since this is my workspace, I want to be able to create a bit of a mess every now and then without worrying too much about it. So then the next idea that I had was acoustic panels. But I do not necessarily want your average acoustic panel of Amazon. No, because I am the type of girl who likes to complicate things for fun. Who knows? I might still use them, but for now, I wonder if I could enhance my pegboard with an acoustic panel. If you think about it, some acoustic panels are these wooden boxes which have a set of holes on them. They're perforated basically, hiding a foam or a textile material that has acoustic properties that absorb sounds. And pegboards are also these perforated boards with holes on them, but without the acoustic foam material. So I wonder if there's a way to combine them. Have a beautiful decorative panel that is also an acoustic panel and a pegboard at the same time. I might have to drop at least one of these features. 3 might be too much, but why not try it first? Now, when I made this chair behind me, one of the problems that we had was that when you drill the hole all the way to the other side would look like crap. The first side would look fine, but the other would look terrible. You can see an example here. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is why we drilled only halfway into the material. But weirdly, the big holes here were fine. So what I learned from this design is that you do not want to blow off the rails with your grand design, only to realize that either the material or the machine or both can't really create what you have in mind. If you want to make use of your time wisely, you want to figure out what the technical and material limitations are before your final design. And I had a lot of questions going into this design, like how thick should the board be? Can I punch holes all the way through without one side looking like crap? What material could do that? And how close together should the holes be before the material becomes too fragile? So I flew to Bucharest to meet with the CNC milling team who did these 3 beautiful samples for me. They also did this chair behind me. Now, the flight was the easy part. Finding them in the city was not so easy. But after many turns and missed turns, there they were. One massive space with powerful machines able to cut pretty much anything you want. Now, how do I find the answer to my questions? Well, one good way is to test the idea in some small and expensive way, and that is just make some samples. I made this design here, not because this is what I want on the wall ultimately, but because I was trying to understand the physicality of the board, how this looks and feels in your hand, how the different holes look, and if the material looks like it's about to break anywhere. Are there any problems where there are many tiny holes close together? Or is it better to keep them further apart? And how far apart should they be? For example, the space between these holes is about 1 centimeters, but between these holes is about 6 millimeters. And generally, I try to keep the holes, at least in this area, as close together as I could, just to see if the material is going to break or not. And since I didn't know at what thickness the material would break, and if it did, what alternative would I have, I decided to test this idea on 3 different boards with 3 different thicknesses. These boards are, one is 6 millimeters, the other one is 10 millimeters, and the last one is 18 millimeters thick. I was particularly worried about the 6 millimeter one, as you can imagine, but as you can see, it seems fine. It doesn't seem to be too fragile anywhere. It can withstand tiny holes close together. The other question that I had is how heavy the panel would be. I couldn't really tell by looking at my computer or simply using my imagination. I had to feel the material in my hand. This is why making samples before any big design is so informative, because it gives you a clear idea about how the final design is going to look, how the final product is going to look and feel in reality. So why does weight matter here? Because the weight of the material influences my approach to how I should attach the panel to the wall. Even though the 18 centimeter sample here is not as big as the others, it feels considerably heavier than the others in my hand. Hanging this to the wall in its final size is going to be quite an endeavor. And now that I have these panels in my hand, I can make an informed decision and say, maybe the heavy one is not worth it because the other panels can hold the design that I want just as well, with no breakage. And they can be attached with more ease to the wall and with more conventional joints. I have, of course, many more questions left, like what kind of accessories would I use if this was indeed a pegboard? What color should it be? What color should the acoustic foam behind it be? How is this going to look like on my wall? And how would I attach it to this wall? Lots of open questions that I'm happy to work through in some of the next videos. But until then, I would love to hear which sample would you pick and why. I look forward to your comments, and I'll see you in the next video.